Alright, we're back, and in this tutorial I want to take a closer look at reflections and how we can refine it. We talked about making this glass material using the node editor, the sampler info node, and ramps to create a realistic looking glass. Um, this one I want to further take a look at our table. Now that we have reflections on and we have an environment, uh, we need to tone those down a bit, and I want to show you guys how to do that. So let's take a look at our table material, and also in my uh, node editor here, let's go to the browser and find our table. Middle mouse, drag this down here, click it, and map just it. Alright, so the reflections are going to be handled here in the table material. If you go down past the common material attributes, specular shading, you have reflectivity. So I can turn reflectivity off in render, and you see what's happening. And it's just reflectivity off on that material. I personally like some reflections, just not as much as there were. So let's dial I might take it up to 0.1 and see what's happening. Uh, you can also begin to tweak some of this bumpiness. This is being created by your fractal. So I can go into my fractal and kind of take my amplitude down, maybe take this ratio down. That was giving us those fine kind of speckles, and we can render just an area here. See if that's making that any smoother. And you see it's a little smoother than it was. Uh, Another thing is, I mentioned earlier, is what's being reflected is your lights back here, or your environment dome. So if I select that and I rotate it, I can influence what's being reflected. So if you have some really big streaks that are just very distracting, you can dial them down just by turning it. That helps. Also, once it's selected, you can go in there. Alright, so let's take another render and see where we're at. Well, good. So we could go down and start making this material at the base look more like gold. And to do that, we probably need to just take the diffuse value of that gold material down, and that is our base material. I'm going to bring this down and map it. We don't really have anything going into it except our color. We can darken our color some. We can take this diffuse value down some, and now as we zoom into just this bottom base area, you can see it's starting to look more gold-like. So what next? We need to put in a few lights. A simple point light that I'll put inside of my dome here, and see what that does. And it makes a lot of light down here. We can also, something we can play with is the dome itself, how much refraction that dome has. So if we go back, so you're looking through glass, and how much distortion are we, I closed all my windows out. So how much distortion are we getting there? So we open the glass mat up, and we can go down here. There's an area called mental ray. There's a reflection blur. There's a refraction blur. if I have refraction turned on. Ray trace options. You have to turn on refractions before you can see them. So we can turn on refractions. That usually is going to make your scene take a lot longer to render. And as you tweak the settings, which I haven't really done, it's going to begin to change kind of how it represents the things behind it. Okay. Alright, so that's, you see our shadow here. I'm going to put this, the shadow's right in the middle. I don't want this to cast shadows. We have a light in my scene inside the globe, but I don't want it to cast shadows out here. That's just a light that's going to help accent my scene once we put it in there. So I'm going to grab this and go into my dome shape and just turn off cast shadows. Now the base may still cast shadows, but that's okay. Alright, this is a good place to stop,